Hello mis amores and welcome back. Hope you're doing great. Today we want to travel back in time and this is my best attempt at doing so with this outfit and my piercing and my other piercing and these piercings and also this one. Yeah, totally look like a vintage version of myself, right? No offense, but I also feel like it wasn't that loud back in the, I don't know, 50s. So yeah, I don't know. Am I giving vintage? I kind of feel like I am giving husband coming home from work, right? Like down here. Maybe also lose the rings. Of course, gender roles were a little bit different back in the day. And so who we're trying to imitate are... How do they get louder every week? Actually, like, they were quiet up until like 2 minutes ago. Please. Just leave. Apparently we don't have a lot of time to do this, but housewives used to be very, like, they're still very busy, I'm sure. So they were under a lot of stress too, so I feel like this is just a real life scenario right now. For this video, I looked at vintage housewife recipes and we're gonna make 3 of those. The first one I feel like isn't really that vintage, or at least it still exists today. So I think this is a good way to start things off. I actually wanted to start with another one, but I realized that the eggs had to be room temperature for that one. But that was a good segue, right? Technically. So in theory, we're gonna make peanut brittle. I say in theory because I went to Lidl and I have bought peanuts very often there. So I didn't really look at the packaging and I just now realized that I actually bought cashew nuts because the packaging is exactly the same. Maybe I should have read what's inside. But in my defense, it might have also been on purpose because the comments actually said, oh, try this with cashews, it's really good. So before it gets too loud again, here is what you need. So, oh my god, no. Okay, sounds like the 20 minutes of hell are finally over, so we can start. Here's what you need for the peanut brittle. Cashew brittle. Start with 175 grams of corn syrup. This again is this like golden syrup that I used last week because I still have leftover, and the internet said this is a great alternative because apparently corn syrup isn't that easy to find in Germany. I mean, I also couldn't find it. I think it was also forbidden for a while. 225 grams of sugar, 60 milliliters of water. Damn, I ain't been this wet in years. 1 tablespoon of margarine, 150 grams of raw peanuts or cashews, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I need to take a sip of my coffee and center myself. Okay, no more shit happening. Enough. First we have to prepare a baking sheet. You can put some butter on it to grease it. I'm just gonna use baking paper. Now I probably have to concentrate for this because we're gonna have to heat up the syrup and stuff, and that's always a little bit scary for me. We're gonna boil the corn syrup, sugar, and water in a saucepan until it reaches 110 degrees Celsius. Then we're gonna add the peanuts and stir frequently for about 15 minutes or until the syrup has turned a light brown. Obviously my syrup is already pretty dark, so I don't think... yeah. So maybe I should have taken a bigger saucepan after all, because it's definitely gonna foam once we put in the baking soda. Just wish me luck. Just take it off the heat now. We're just gonna start with the vanilla because I don't think anything will happen. Then the margarine. Whoops. We're gonna stir quickly. Good luck. Okay, it's foaming. It's definitely doing that. Whoa. Okay, I think we're good. How long do I stir this for? Yeah, I think we're done. Now quickly toss it on here. Cool. So apparently this hardens quite quickly. Okay, I think we're good. The way I said no more shit happening and then I throw around fucking sugar syrup. Sugar candy inside the entire apartment. Anyway, set this aside. This is gonna have to cool and harden, really. And that's it. Guys, don't even ask how or why we've lost half of our outfit. I just had a little too much fun with my housewife, you know. You'll find out later how that happened. The only thing you should ask yourself is, though, why our brittle doesn't harden? It's been hours now and I don't think it'll ever happen. I assume that the golden syrup wasn't the right translation of the corn syrup, but we just don't have a brittle. We have something that we can chew on, maybe. I don't know. This is sad. I'm sorry to my ancestors, but this was supposed to be easy and this is what I got. Cheers. That's really yummy. I'm glad I got cashews, not... Obviously this is very sweet, but I can totally see this being good if done right. I think I was just lacking instructions because I'm pretty sure that you have to keep this at a certain temperature because like sugar is pretty sensitive when it comes to that, and it definitely changes the texture of it. If my Great British Bake Off knowledge is correct, which it very well might not be, then I think my syrup mixture has just gotten too hot, therefore it never hardened. Well, at least we've got caramel. Who would have thought that I'd like straight up sugar, but it's so good with the cashew. I think I'm still gonna eat this up. See, this was supposed to be the easy one, and the next recipe is gonna be the hard one, so good luck. Okay. Hello. We quickly have got to forget about literally everything that has been happening so far. We really got to concentrate. It's not really scary, but maybe it is a little because the writer of said recipe kind of makes it sound a bit scary and that we can fail. And I don't really like failing, especially after everything that has happened so far. It's definitely an interesting cake that we're gonna make. We're gonna make an old-fashioned angel food cake. I don't know. I had never heard of this. I had never seen this before. Also, it basically only consists of egg. It seems very vintage. Also, what's interesting about this cake is that it doesn't contain any fat, so we're also only going to use the egg whites. That always leaves me with a question what I'm supposed to do with the egg yolks, but I'll figure something out. We're making half the recipe, this time mainly because otherwise we would need 12 eggs, and I'm not gonna bake a cake with 12 eggs. Like, here is what you need. We're gonna start with 60 grams of cake flour. I don't even know what cake flour is, but the recipe owner also said that if we don't have cake flour, to use 60 grams of normal flour, take off 1 tablespoon and replace it with cornstarch. And so that's what I did. I then also sifted it, and this is actually the sugar, so I don't know why I'm showing you that. There we go. I also sifted it after so that the cornstarch should be really well incorporated. So this is then 75 grams of sugar plus 1 tablespoon of sugar. I think this is the 75 gram sugar and this is the 75 grams plus a tablespoon because you also need an extra 75 grams of sugar. But also make sure to use extra fine sugar, or I blitzed it for like a couple of seconds. This is 3/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and this is vanilla extract. You need 3/4 teaspoon, 6 egg whites at room temperature. Then you need a bun pan, but we do not grease it. It literally says in capital letters, do not grease pan. You need the cake to stick to the pan so that it doesn't fall when baking or when you invert it to cool. Once baked, you can top it with cream and fruit. Preheat the oven to 350 Fahrenheit and 176 Celsius. We start by sifting together the sugar plus the tablespoon of sugar and the flour mixture. And we do that a couple of times apparently. I don't make the rules, but 4 times is enough, I think. Now we have to beat the egg whites. Make sure there's no egg yolk at all. Just like what just happened to me for some reason. I can do that. Like, why can I not do that? Okay, beat the egg whites, the cream of tartar, and the salt until it forms peaks. This should be it, right? Slowly add the remaining 75 grams of sugar, then beat on high until soft peaks form. That's a soft peak. Beating on low, add the vanilla extract. That's it, vibes, but not quite. We still have to fold in the flour mixture using a spatula. You could sift it in again, but I feel like I don't need to do that. This is literally just egg white. So weird. Am I really baking a cake? Okay, I think this should be incorporated well now. Well, lastly, we just spoon it into our pan. So this feels really wrong to just dump it in there without greasing it at all or anything, as it is written, so it shall be done. Oven is ready and waiting for... I think we did it. We are ready to bake this for 30 to 35 minutes, or until top springs back when touched lightly with finger and is lightly golden brown. Just here to tell you guys that my cake is done. We're gonna take it out, but we're actually gonna invert it. So we're gonna let the cake cool upside down for some reason. It springs back nicely, so that's what we want. Is my glass gonna break? Hopefully not. Now we let it cool for at least an hour. What can I say? I'm running out of patience, so I think our cake has cooled enough. It's definitely cold. I think I'm gonna pass on the whipped cream. First, we gotta get it out of there. We're supposed to run a knife along the side. Like, why? Actually, doesn't seem to be that sticky. Let's hope it comes out already. It's not. Ah! This doesn't feel a cake. What is this? I feel like this is lacking some custard or so on top. Let's just go for it. Okay, this is very interesting. Now it kind of feels rubbery. I like the texture. Milk bready, but soft in your mouth. Well, the crust kind of ruins it. I can see this being nice with fruit. I think you could also spread something on top. Like maybe I wouldn't even treat this as cake, but more so as a very sweet bread. I'd probably eat this with yogurt and fruit. May gusta, but not so much the crust. This is how I feel about it. That doesn't work. Oh, you can't even see it jiggle that well on camera. You just gotta be careful that you definitely separate the egg whites. But then again, like, I was really meticulous about that, but also I blitzed the sugar just in case, and like, I was very careful. Then everything worked out. So I don't know what happens if you're not as careful as me. If you're not as good a person as me, I'm not sure. Like, if you suck a little, I wouldn't know. I don't have experience sucking. One more recipe. Okay, for this last recipe, we're gonna make something that I'm confident I'm gonna like. We're gonna make a coffee loaf. Isn't that amazing? Like, we could have this in the morning. Whoever thought of this is just like really smart. And I think this should be a thing nowadays too, and not just 1959. I actually found this recipe on TikTok by a creator called B. Dylan Hollis. He makes a lot of like vintage recipes, which I'll try this right now. Especially considering, this should be pretty straightforward. Here we go. Here's what you need. This is 260 grams of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a cup of instant coffee, which is quite a lot, 125 milliliters of hot boiling water. Then you need half a cup of shortening, or you can use butter as well. We don't really have like shortening. According to the internet, it's just coconut fat, flavorless, fingers crossed. 150 grams of sugar and a little bit of the syrup from the first recipe. A third of a cup of powdered creamer, which is something that my mother like used for a week or two when I was younger, and I always thought it was really weird because it's not milk. It doesn't even contain milk, I don't think. I don't understand. You also need 3 eggs, as if we haven't used enough eggs today already. We can just dissolve half a cup of the coffee in half a cup of hot boiling water. That probably tastes really great. I love coffee. So let's start by creaming together the shortening. I feel like I need to put some heat to it because that is like rock solid. We can, however, just mix together the dry ingredients. I think we'll be able to cream the shortening somehow. We're gonna cream it with the sugar and the powdered creamer. Surely it'll get soft from me mixing this, right? Surely it'll get soft once we've added the eggs. guess it should have been room temperature as well. See, 1960s, I don't know about the shortening. I also don't want to over mix the eggs now. We're gonna alternate our coffee mixture and the flour mixture. You know, we keep mixing it and hopefully it'll dissolve at some point. That just went all over the only white shirt that I own. What a mess. Ew. Okay, one of these that I definitely have to clean. And guess what? I'm not gonna use shortening to grease this. That's gonna be so delicious. Yeah, what does the powdered creamer do? Because I'm confused. Batter tastes pretty good. 160 degrees only Celsius for about an hour, and then I'll see you then. Ta-da! I literally took this out of the oven like 2 minutes ago. I probably should have waited. Oh, I showed you the ugly side too. I really want to try this hot actually, because then I can pretend it's a hot coffee, which is nice. It looks pretty plain, just like a nice loaf cake. It smells really, really good. Still a little bit moist. Oh, I can't wait. Cheers. Happy breakfast. Happy coffee. It's nice. I think my expectations were a little too high. It's quite plain. This needs a frosting. Maybe like a nice cream cheese frosting. I think it would need to be a little moister. That said, I will definitely eat it up with some quack on top. Nom nom nom. What a lackluster ending. I don't know, I was just expecting some sort of flavor sensation. I think I've chosen pretty tame recipes, but I would definitely be intrigued to find even weirder for us nowadays recipes. I know that all of my recipes were sweet, but that's mainly because the savory ones usually contain meat, and yeah. If we disregard the first recipe, I think this went really well, and we have created some magic, some vintage magic. I'm also gonna leave now, which we can talk about that, how that makes you feel too. Either in the comment section or in next week's video. Wouldn't that be nice? Let me know if you guys are interested in more of these. But until then, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Y entonces nos vemos la próxima vez. Y bye 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 bye.